Okay, so a short video. That's good. We're gonna add a short video because I forgot to mention this. And again, man, I'm tired. I don't want to be. I don't want to do philosophy because the thing is that when you try to run your own business and do entrepreneurship, you don't only become more excited like me right now when you talk, but you become able to see why it's a mistake to speak about what I'm talking right now. And because people want to hear short things, that's what they want to buy, you know. Um, and Yeah, in some way, I want to just leave you aside, forget about you, forget about philosophy, and focus on my business and make money. Why not, right? But what I wanted to add that I forgot to add to that long video is this idea I had, because one of the mentors I had, which stayed here in the US and paid a shitload of taxes, created a multi-billion-dollar company, and it's not Warren Buffett, is another businessman, which is one of the biggest in the video game industry, right? I won't say he's a mentor of mine, but somebody I admire, and I was thinking about him and about some ideas on the area, and I was thinking that in some way, video games and or at least any type of game where two people face each other and try to solve the problem of beating each other, it's like a religious cult, right? Where we adore to solve problems, to do problem solving, right? Because humanity is about that. It's about solving problems. And in some way, if we're playing a video game, and I think it looks worse this way, maybe with life, yeah. So in some way, humanity, when we are at war with each other, for example, I love to use the example of war because it's something we want to avoid, of course. When we are at war at each other, we have a big problem in front of us. And my grand grandparent, and my grandparent, they specialize, for example, on solving that problem, and solving it with less casualties. And in our case, I'm glad we were on the good side, from the side of history, which I hope the people that killed Nazis are of course good. It's not a subjective thing, but what I'm saying is that we try to solve the problem, right? And sometimes we solve it and we reach a different situation. And humanity is that constant cycle, right? In video games, or for example, games of war, video games where we shoot at each other, it's like a religion where we say, okay, we're in times of peace, we're gonna keep solving puzzles, we're gonna keep solving problems, but now we solve it sitting and enjoying and laughing, right? Instead of killing each other in true life, right? And from there I came to a second idea, which is that politics and in some way politics and I thought about other things, and diplomacy in some ways, when we are impatient, because philosophy, for example, is a patient. That's why I love it so much, and I love knowledge. Philosophy comes from that love for knowledge. It's patient. It's truth-seeking. It's long and exhausting. It takes time. But politics and diplomacy are not. It's when you get impatient and you try to rush and find the way or execute the way of solving some problems that have to be solved right now. And if those aren't solved, we're going to end with a potentially bigger problem. We're going to end with war or with more death people. For example, the diplomacy with the situation in Ukraine right now, while I'm alive, is one of the biggest conflicts going on. Gladly, sad. I mean, it's sad, but that's one of the biggest we have. Man, 80 years ago it was much worse. But what I'm trying to say is, diplomacy is like they lose patience, and if there's something to do, they do it. So less people die. one of the campaigns of President Trump for this year that's coming soon, he's trying to play with that. I don't know if he's manipulating people or saying the truth, but he kind of says that one of the priorities he has is to do diplomacy on that side, right? And diplomacy is that, and politics is rushing to solve the problem too quickly, so we don't end up with a bigger problem at the end, right? But the big question is, for example, when we print money to help poor people today, if we are not making the future worse, right? Sometimes politics rush us to take a decision which will not be neutral with the future. That could be detrimental, or perhaps it will not be. Sometimes it will obviously be detrimental. And that's the last thing I wanted to add to the video. It's very interesting. Games. And when we game with each other and we play games in these times of peace, if we exclude Ukraine and many other conflicts, it's like a rich nation and a bunch of rich people or wealthy people or perhaps poor people, but that they live in peace, bragging that we are in peace, but we are still solving problems. Okay, we don't have a problem of war. We don't have the problem of a Taliban or a terrorist crashing a plane in our towers here in New York City. We don't have that problem in front of us. We don't have the Mongols coming to raid our country, or the Huns, or I don't know, the Vikings in ancient England. We don't have the problem in front of us. But instead of becoming passive and static, we generate a problem again, which is a video game or a game of chess, and we practice. And we train our minds to continuously be a problem solving machine. And the last idea I want to add, which came right now while I was making this video, is that machine of solving problems could lead us to peace. If we generate equilibrium, of course, if after we solve many problems we end up with a more equilibrated society, or where the quality of life is better, at least. But then that problem-solving capacity could be used to wage a bad way of competition or wage war against others and destroy minorities or people that's going to be oppressed. And that's not the way of using our problem-solving capabilities or intelligence. I guess if we're taking a positive direction, and I hope my philosophy is right on that side, if we're taking a positive direction, we're going to use our problem-solving capabilities to solve the world in a good way, right? And that's the last thing. I wanted to underline that idea, how games, people gaming or playing, even when they play chess, which is a very popular game, they are doing that, right? We are making like a religious ritual, adoring problem solving and generating a problem because we don't have problems. We're so happy that we don't have problems. Okay, let's create a problem and let's solve it. And I'm gonna try to beat you, you try to beat me, and at the same time, it's fun, of course. Peace is fun. What is not fun is when you're too peaceful and then you have to take care of a war. That's not fun. So thank you for watching, and have a great day. Goodbye.